how much mortgage can I get. So your ability to secure a mortgage is based on three factors, that is your credit history, credit score, your capacity to repay the loan, as well as the value of the collateral. So the first thing, the credit history and credit score is a very important component of determining whether you qualify for a mortgage and what sort of loan do you qualify for, and how much down payment is the minimum required based on your credit score. The next factor is your capacity to repay your loan. So the capacity to repay your loan is based on how much income you make, how much is your debt, how much are your other assets. So when you approach a lender for a pre-approval letter, they're going to verify your income, your pay stubs, your W-2, that is your tax returns, and your assets. And they're going to verify all the debts you have. So they're going to come up with the debt to income ratio, and based on the debt to income ratio, they'll be able to pre-approve you for a certain loan amount. And the third factor is the value of the collateral. Collateral in the sense, in this case of mortgage loan, the collateral is the property you're purchasing. The loan amount you're getting is tied to the value of the property you will be buying. So let's say you're pre-approved based on your income and your assets and your debt DTI ratio. You're pre-approved for a loan amount of 500,000, and you start looking at properties and you make an offer for 550,000 for your property. So in case you are qualified for a 10% down payment, that means 10% is coming out of your pocket and the rest of 90% of the purchase price is going to come out of the mortgage. In that case, how much loan can you get for this property where you're offering 550,000 is based on the appraised value of the property. So after you get under contract, the bank is going to send out an appraiser to the property to evaluate the property's value in that current market condition. That is independent of what the seller wants as his price or what the buyer is going to offer for this property. So once the appraisal comes back, the appraised value will determine your final loan amount. So let's say the appraised value comes back as the same as the purchase value, in this case 550,000. In that case, the loan amount will be equal to the 90% of the appraised value, or equal to the amount of 90% of the purchase value, because it happens to be the same in this case. So 10% comes out of your pocket and 90% of the purchase price comes from the mortgage. In many cases, appraised value is lower than the purchase price. In that case, the mortgage amount will be equal to 90% of the appraised value. So let's say appraised value comes in at 530,000 and your purchase price, offer price is 550,000. In that case, then there's an appraisal gap of 20,000 because your purchase price is 550,000 and the appraised value is only 530,000. So in this case, the bank is not going to give you 90% of the purchase price as your loan amount. It's going to be 90% of the appraised value, that is 90% of 530,000. So there's a gap. There's a gap in case the property appraised for the full purchase price, your loan amount would have been 90,000, 90% of 550. That would have been equal to 495,000. And since if the appraisal comes in at 530, then the loan amount will be 90% of 530,000, which is equal to 477,000. Because of which there is an appraisal gap coverage which has to be made. The appraisal gap coverage will be required to in case the seller is not willing to renegotiate the price and seller is not willing to accept the appraised value as the final purchase price. The buyer may have to cover the appraisal gap to go ahead with the purchase. So in this case, appraisal gap coverage is about 495,000 minus 477,000, that is equal to 18,000. So appraisal is usually kept as a contingency in most of the purchase agreements, because that is when the buyer can renegotiate the price based on the appraisal. But whether the seller will accept it or depends upon the market we are in. In hot sellers market, we are seeing a lot of appraisal gap coverages where there is willing to cover any gap or sometimes at least a portion of the gap in case the appraisal comes in lower than the purchase price.
If you're considering a home sale or purchase in 2025, I invite you to reach out to me so I can learn about your unique needs. I can be reached at 860 479 2998, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you.